A couple of months ago, my dad was having guests over early in the morning, and I could not be bothered to deal with anyone in my house at that time. So I gathered all of my things and I decided I'm gonna make a trip out of it. I got some eats, and then I got a slice of cheesecake to go, and then I made my way to a Starbucks because, I rock with a chai latte every now and then. I was going to roam around a little bit, but then I decided okay, why not set up camp? Now I'm sitting here with my cheesecake, my latte, and I have a big ass purple journal that I took out to write in. It was only after being there for 2 hours with people who were doing the same exact thing that I'm just like, yo, this feels like the most performative thing I've ever done in my life. If I'm just sitting there minding my business, doing something that I actually enjoy, why the hell would I feel performative? Well, for starters, I'm black. You simply don't see other black guys chilling in a Starbucks on a Sunday journaling, and you definitely don't see 6-foot-tall black guys doing that at all. I have no idea if any other race feels out of place doing something like that, but that just goes to show me how black people can feel so isolated doing normal everyday things if it's not typically within the black people bubble. Even though I've had more than 20 years of life to get used to being myself, I'm not oblivious to the fact that black people are expected to look a certain way, be in certain areas, and on that day, I wasn't doing those things. Beyond that, the location might have sent this over the edge a bit for me because it was far from a confined space. The other Starbucks that I've ever been in my life were usually very small, and I don't know if it's standard to have a big ass table where everybody can sit and just, be themselves. Usually it's at max 2 to 3 seats grouped together at different corners of the establishment. Obviously, I wouldn't feel nearly as exposed in a library or somewhere else that people wouldn't even notice me for half a second. A lot of it was me in my own head, but it didn't help that I had this gigantic purple journal just writing away. At the start of the year, I was like, I'm having so much to write down constantly that I'm always running out of space to write. So let me just get the biggest journal I could find on Amazon and see what it's like with that. And this was the first time that I took it outdoors. So now that I'm not in the space of my own home, it feels twice as obnoxious, and literally it's just a normal book that I like to write in. So I'm just busy writing down every idea, every emotion that comes to my head, and after a couple of hours, now I'm starting to, get self-conscious about it. There are so many things, just like journaling, that I began doing for the sake of personal growth that are now the staple activities of men that are trying to get attention in public. The first thing I can think of after journaling is me listening to R&B over rap. That's less of a black people thing and more of a generation thing because rap was really just blowing up 10 years ago especially, but that was never really my wave. I've been like that since middle school because that's when I got my first phone and I'm like, hold up, I don't have to listen to what everyone is listening to and what everyone is gassing. I could just play what I want all the time. So what I like is mostly a mix of trap and R&B. My favorite artist is Bryson Tiller, and he's known for making the genre that is trap soul. Since I started listening to his music, I just went down the rabbit hole of trap soul and similar artists. It had nothing to do with me trying some desperate way to be different. The next thing on that list for me would be not being on social media. I'm not even sure exactly if performative guys are off social media because to me that seems like the #1 place for them to perform. But I do remember it was, or it still might even be, a trend to delete all socials. It just seems like a year or two ago, everyone made this grand shift off of social media. I've talked about this a little bit before in a previous video, but getting off of social media is a good thing as long as you have genuine self-tied motivations to get off of it. Because if you're just doing it as a trend, then you're going to be right back on it when it's a trend to be on those platforms again. The primary reason that I'm not on it is one, because I didn't understand it when it first became popular. And then after that, I didn't really care for anything that was on it because I knew everything was fake. Third on the list of things that have become performative heaven is reading books. I'm genuinely baffled that there are guys out here solely reading so they could get some attention. What makes it so confusing is that these girls aren't even reading anything remotely like what we would pick up. It's natural that guys are going to gravitate more towards self-help, and if they do read fiction, it's going to be more like elaborate fantasy worlds with dragons and magic, while women tend to gravitate towards romance. If you're a performative guy and you start reading what women are reading, you'll just slowly transform into a girl, or you'll just come to despise the idea of reading all over again because the things you are reading aren't for you. It's not a crime to want attention, but it's so counterproductive when you do these things solely for the attention of other people. You're going to miss out on all of the self-improvement if you're just focused on somebody else. So I've been doing all of those things for quite a while, learning about myself, trying to gradually improve. So why would I even occasionally feel self-conscious about it? That's mostly because every now and then, some jackass is trying to poke holes through my self-improvement. For example, I had one friend that tried to throw shots at me about only reading self-help. That wasn't even accurate. It was just that self-help was the only thing she saw me reading. This was also during the short wave where everyone was turning on self-help because social media decided that we were tired of locking in and actually hustle culture is toxic, and the basis of hustle culture is picking up one of these self-help books, so that became public enemy #1 for a little bit. I don't even know where we currently stand on that. Are we back to locking in? Do we not care about anything anymore? Who knows? But essentially, she tried to make it seem like I was the resident self-help guru, even though I would never talk about the books unless I was specifically asked. The people in my life have noticed that I don't like to talk about things until it comes to fruition. So usually while I'm building, they just fill in the gaps for themselves anyway. And her attitude basically became, oh, look at this guy. He thinks he's so good because he learned how to stop procrastinating. And I'm just like, not really, but it helps. It's even weirder with my family members. One time I got into an argument and my family member said, oh, you think you're Mr. Morals, right? To this day, I can't even remember what the argument was about because that just threw me for such a loop. Like, is that even an insult? Not to mention the fact that I don't even talk to you guys. So when would I have the chance to project morals onto you? It took me a while to understand that the only reason why they said that is because every time they pass through where I'm sitting, I'm listening to some type of motivational content on YouTube. So now they think they have some type of special insight into what I like and what I do, when really all they have is a video that I'm listening to. Going back to the subject of social media for a little bit, I've had multiple friends that have tried to make me not being on social media my entire personality. Another instance of me not talking about it unless it is specifically mentioned or I'm asked about it. This attitude mostly arrives when they're talking about something that's trending on TikTok, and I'm just like, I genuinely have no idea what that is. To a certain extent, I kind of get it, because it's almost like having to explain to your parents all of the new lingo. You're not going to be able to speak and talk with them the same way and enjoy all of the same jokes if you constantly have to do that. On the other hand though, are we not relatable enough that we can have conversations and do things without the use of social media making its way into everything? For all I know, their parents are also on TikTok trying to be like their kids, so I'm even more of a weirdo in that case. The disdain that I receive from these people, it's the kind of attitude you would give to somebody who has explicitly told you, I'm better than you. Not only have I never said anything like this, but I don't feel that way. I feel like there are a lot of flaws within myself that I need to buff out. So the way they act isn't a reflection of something I've done, but rather it's how they feel. They feel that I'm better than them in some capacity, and they can't handle that. It's almost like I'm not allowed to mind my business and work on myself. It's either you're doing too much or you're not doing enough with your life. There's never a capacity where you can be doing just enough. Let some people see you doing what they wish they were doing, and they will immediately create a negative narrative about it. They immediately throw out any concept of using that person or what they're doing as motivation. There are so many times where I see people doing things that I have no current grasp of, but then I'm like, if I just followed their lead a little bit, I can do what they do and I can put my own spin on it. Typically, people love talking about what they're doing to improve themselves, and they're glad to share it if it's actually working. So not only can I use them as motivation, but I can get a head start from their knowledge. That way, I don't have to be miserable, I don't have to be jealous, and I don't have to feel like I'm spiraling. There are people who would gladly teach me and help me. There's a lot of things that I don't care about, but I'm still human. I don't want to demonstrate being something I'm not or be associated with groups that I'm not a part of, most particularly performative men. You might have noticed that I didn't even get into clothing because it's something that I never cared for what people had to say. Strangely enough, when I'm putting my minimum effort into the fit, it's always when I receive the most compliments. It's to the point where standard activities might be perceived as trying to put on a show for someone. And somehow it's amplified if you don't talk about it. People will feel like you're shitting on them somehow, and you're just existing. When I think about it, it's not really a shock that the loneliness epidemic is skyrocketing, because it feels like the only way to better yourself is to get away from as many people as possible and to commit to your own wave. If anything I said resonated with you, please drop a like and tell me some of the ways that the world has made you feel like you were faking it. I'll see y'all in the next one.